So in this video I'm going to show you how to set up a OpenVPN server in OpnSense. So first of all, we have to log into the firewall, and then under the firewall we have to click on system, and then we have to click on trust, and first we have to create a certificate authority. So I clicked on authorities, and then I'm going to click on add, and then give a descriptive name here. You can do whatever which makes sense to you. And instead of importing, I'm going to create an internal certificate authority here, and I'm going to leave this default here, and I'm going to leave it for like 3 years, and then put rest of the information here. So I'm going to select list of the country here. So I'm going to select United States, then we need to put rest of the information here. So once you have all the information filled in here, just click on save. Then next we have to create a server certificate. So now I'm going to click on add here, and again we are going to create an internal certificate here, and give a name here. Select which certificate authority. So we are going to select the one that we created, and now instead of client certificate we are going to select and make it a server certificate here. Again, I'm going to leave everything default. I'm going to leave it 825, and private key I'm going to leave it save on this firewall. Fill in rest of the information, and then click on save. So now we have a server certificate here. Now we are going to set up OpenVPN. So click on VPN, and then click on OpenVPN, then click on servers here, and now we are going to, we can use wizard or we can click on add. Well, if you're doing it for the first time, you can definitely add a wizard here. So this is basically asking to select the authentication method. So it is going to be a local user access here. We are going to create local users. Then the certificate authority, it automatically picks up the certificate authority that it found. So we created a one earlier, so it is already in here. Then next it is asking you to select the certificate. So the server certificate that we created, we are going to select that, and then in next it is going to ask you the interface. So in this case we are going to select the WAN interface here. Then we are going to leave the default port in this case, and we are going to leave the UDP, and just give a descriptive name here. So I'm just going to type something here. Moving down, we are going to now working on cryptographic settings. I'm going to leave them checked, and in DH parameters length I'm going to leave the default. In encryption algorithm from the list, I selected AES 256 CBC, and for authentication digest I selected SHA-256 with 256 bit, and I'm going to leave this one default. And in the IPv4 tunnel network, just give a tunnel network here. So this is the network which will be used by the OpenVPN clients. So for my setup, I selected 10.10.0.0/24, and then this is the local network. So basically the local LAN network. In my case, this is 192.168.1.0/24, and moving down, I don't want to select IPv4 remote network here. And then if you want, you can set a concurrent connection setting number here. So it basically specifies the maximum number of clients allowed to concurrently connect to this server. because it is a small setup, I'm selecting 10 here, and then I'm going to leave this default. I'm not going to set any of these options here, and then I'm going to leave these two options. And rest everything I'm going to leave default. I'm not going to put anything in here, and I'm going to finish this. And here we can we can enable these two, otherwise we have to create these rules manually. I will show you these rules. So hitting next and then click on finish. So the OpenVPN server setup is complete here. Now let me show you the rules that it creates. So it created a rule under firewall, then rules, and under LAN settings, under OpenVPN. So as you can see, there is a rule created by the wizard here. So anything from the OpenVPN client to any network is allowed here. And then there is another rule that is created under WAN by the wizard. So this is the rule that is created by the wizard. So as you can see, UDP port 1194 has been open and it is allowed to listen on the WAN address. If you do not use the wizard, then you have to create these two rules manually. Now we are going to create a VPN user, and for that we need to go into the system, access, and then users, and here we are going to create a user. So username, I'm going to create a test user here. I'm going to give a complex password. It's always recommended to use a good password here, and then if you want, you can give the full name here. Rest of the fields are not required, you can just leave them default. And then we are going to click to create a certificate user, and then we are going to save it. Now once you do that, it will ask you to create a certificate. So again, it is going to be an internal certificate, and I'm going to just put a name here which makes sense. And certificate authority, it is going to be the internal certificate authority that we created. Rest of the fields are automatically filled up, so it is going to be a client certificate for sure. And these are all settings which are taken from this root CA and the server CA. And now as you can see, all of this information is pre-saved. We don't have to add anything else here, and I'm going to save it. So once you save the user, then you have to export the user VPN config. So that you can do by clicking on VPN here and then click on client export. So once you are in here, scroll down and you will see that there is a setup here. So this is what we are going to do now. We are going to download it, and it will download the required OpenVPN files that we can use. So let me show you what exactly it does. So this is what it does. So it exports a OpenVPN file and the private key and the public certificate. So now what we are going to do is we are going to test it. So you have to download and install the OpenVPN client. Once the client is installed, you can see the client is running in here. Just right click on it and then click on import profile and give the path where you have the files. So I am going to do this now here, and the file imported successfully. So one thing that you need to do is it imports the file in here under your user profile, but you can check it from the VPN client settings. So you will see under advanced tab. So this is the path where it import the config files. So what it does is when you import the config file, it only imports the OpenVPN file, OVPN file. It does not import the certificates along with it. So we have to manually copy those certificates. Let me show you what I am trying to say here. So if you look in here, you see that it has only .ovpn file. It does not have the certificate. So now when you will try to connect the VPN, it is going to give you the certificate error. So we have to copy both of these certificates in here, because if you look at this OpenVPN file, let me open it. You see how in this file it is mentioned that it will require these two certificates to complete the connection. So that is why we need to have both of these certificates in the same directory. So once this is done, we are ready to test it out. So let me do this. Let me disconnect the existing one first, and now I'm going to connect the one that I created. Okay. Alright, it prompted me for the password, username and password, and I'm going to enter my username and password. So this is now running, and there it is. I'm connected now, and now I can access all the resources on my Office network. That's pretty much of it. Thank you.